Pokemon Champions has been out for a while now, and there are hundreds of new players joining every single day. And I've been hearing a lot of people say they want to make their own teams, but they don't know where to start or what to look for. So today, I'm going to go over 3 tools that I use for every single team I build, how to use them, and at the end, I'll give you 2 tips that I've used to save me tons of time in the long run. Let's get straight into it. So the first tool that we use is Pokemon Showdown. If you have ever played competitive Pokemon in the past, or even if you've wanted to get involved in competitive Pokemon in the past, you may have heard of this platform. Pokemon Showdown is great. It's basically a battle simulator that allows you to build a team and test it against other people who are testing their teams out to see if your team is worth taking and building within the Pokemon Champions game. A lot of people will do this because they don't want to waste their VP, or they don't want to transfer Pokemon in just for their team not to work. So a quick rundown of how it works is over here you can do random battles if you want to, or you can do regulation battles based on the different formats. Here though is where the bread and butter of this software comes into play, the team builder function. So by clicking team builder here, you can see that I can create a new team. If I click new team, I can then select my format. If you're looking for Pokemon Champions in specific, you want to come down to Champions and select VGC 2026 Regulation M-A. Once you've selected that, that means that it will only show you Pokemon from that regulation and only allow you to use items from that regulation as well. And then from here I can add Pokemon. For example, recently I made a team that was based around Mega Scizor, and if I wanted to test that team out here, I could click on Scizor, make sure that I give it the Scizor right, so that it's going to be a Mega. I could even select in here Mega Scizor, and it will actually give me the stat spread of the Pokemon with the Scizorite on it. Choose its ability and then select what moves you want. It will also show you what moves are recommended and then what moves are usually useless. So don't be afraid to come down into these usually useless moves section, because sometimes they do actually have some pretty good moves in here that people just don't seem to use that often. But in this instance, let's say that we want to build the team we were talking about before. So on that team, I did have Bug Bite, I had Bullet Punch, I had Swords Dance, and Protect. And then the spread, let's just say in this case, we want to go maximum attack, maximum HP, just for example, maximum speed, and then we can put any nature we want. In this case, let's put adamant. That will give us a bonus to our attack and a decrease to our special attack. So now you can see I have drafted a singular Pokemon here. You can go ahead and do that for the rest of your team and plan that team out, but I'm going to fast forward into a team that I have already built to show you how the battle system works. So here I am over on my main account. As you can see, I've got a bunch of different teams that I've built over time. I sometimes go through and delete these, but these are just some teams that I've been theory crafting with in the past. So let's say, for example, we've got our Camera Up team here, or which is based around Mega Camera Up. Let's say we want to test this out. We've spent the time building this and we want to give it a dummy run. We just have to go back to the home screen, go to the format, select what format we want to play in, which in this case would be VGC Regulation M-A, choose our team. As you can see, it does display your team here for you, and then I would click this battle button. It will find me an opponent and then we will have a battle. This tool is really useful for if you just have an idea and you want to test it out and you don't want to spend the VP to do it. It's an awesome tool, definitely recommend. Okay, for tool number 2, we're using something called Marriland's Team Builder tool. You can see here on the Marriland website, they have a bunch of different Pokemon stuff, but in this case, we want to use it for the Team Builder, which you can see down here on the right-hand side under Team Builder, under Pokemon Tools. So we'll click on the Team Builder. Using the previous team as an example for this, I will just go over how I utilize this tool and what the best use case for it is. So how this tool works is when you put your Pokemon in, let's say Mega Camerupt, for example. When you put your Pokemon into this, it will tell you what are your weaknesses and what are your strengths. Okay, and what are you weak to, what do you resist? So how I utilize this is I will go through and select a core of Pokemon and decide, okay, what am I weak to, what do I resist, and what do I need to account for with the next Pokemon that I add. So in this case, let's say I've added Camerupt and I'm 4 times weak to water and I'm 2 times weak to ground. So the next Pokemon that I add in, I don't want it to be weak to those things. So okay, I'm playing Camerupt. Let's say we want to set Trick Room. So in this case, we could put in Sinister, and that would help us to remove our weakness to those 2 elements. It will also give us resistances, but then we end up with more weaknesses to other things, and you can go through and start to like sort of flesh out your team and build out resistances so that everything you have isn't just like, you're not going to have 5 Pokemon that are weak to water type moves, and if you run into Archelidon Basculegion or Pelipper Basculegion, you're just cooked. This will allow you to avoid that happening. Okay, so I've put my team from earlier in, the same team I had on Showdown, and you can see here our total strengths and resistances. So you can see that on the resistance side, we have a few multiples, and we have less on the weakness side. I always try and build my teams where I have more resistances than I do weaknesses. Sometimes that doesn't work out, but if you can't get like a resistance to something, it's really important to just pay attention to the type chart and go, okay, if I'm running this team and I'm going into Mega Scizor, I'm at risk of getting one shot on Wurdair, Farigiraf, and Hydrapple to a bug bite. So I need to just be really careful into that sort of team. However, for example, into an ice type team like Floette, I can bring Incineroar, Primarina, Camerupt, and Farigiraf and easily take over that game because we do resist the ice typing. Okay, so the third and final tool is Pikalytics. This tool is awesome. They've updated it for Pokemon Champions as well, and it's just getting better and better as time goes on. Pikalytics is used for if you have an idea about a Pokemon but you're not sure what spread it uses, what moves might want to use, what item you might want to use with it. You can come on Pikalytics and type in your Pokemon in the sidebar. Just make sure that you've selected the current regulation. This is pulling from Pokemon Showdown, so it's pretty accurate as to what people are using. So for example, let's say I want to go for my Camerupt angle, so I can click Mega Camerupt here. I can have a look and see obviously 100% of the time they use the Camerupt height. They use Sheer Force, obviously, and then these are the most recommended moves. So Earth Power, Protect, Heat Wave, Eruption, Ancient Power. And you can see the percentage of like how many people run each move and what sort of partners people run alongside this Pokemon. So you can also find partner options for these Pokemon if you want to. You can see how used they are and then what the spreads that people are using. So in this case, you can see it's running a Quiet Nature. Oh, this might be hiding behind me. Let me just move myself over. So in this case, you can see here that they are running a Quiet Nature with 32 in their HP stat, 2 in their defense stat, and then 32 in the special attack stat. So this will be just going order from top to bottom on your Pokemon Champions listing or on your Pokemon Showdown. You can also see different spreads that people are trying out on the side here, but to be honest, the best and most recent feature that Pikalytics offers you is it offers you a team builder and it offers you some top teams to add alongside it. So with this top teams, it shows you the best tournament teams that have won different tournaments over the most recent, basically in the regulation, and then you can either take these teams and run with them, or you can take these teams and modify them, or even just take one Pokemon out of this team if you want to figure out, okay, well, like, how can I run this Pokemon? Just grab one of these Pokemon and test it out for yourself, put it into Showdown, and then start thinking about how do I want to add this. You can also choose, like, for example, I want a sun-based team, so you can click the sun option up the top here, and it will show you all the sun-based teams. You can choose rain for the same, sand, snow, and just you can work your way around from there. There's also a team builder on here if you want to start adding Pokemon into a team. Let's just say, for example, we go Mega Camerupt again. Okay, let's just go Camerupt then, because it's not going to let us add Mega Pokemon. You can then choose, it'll give you its suggestions of what Pokemon you should add alongside it. In this case, we'll add Farigiraf because we actually did use that Pokemon in our team. And you can start to add moves to this Pokemon. It'll show you which moves are recommended. You can go and add those in here. It also has an option to do Metacalc. So if I want a defensive calculator and I want to say, okay, how does my team hold up against King Gambit, for example, right? It'll show you, okay, okay, this guy's going to move first all the time against Camerupt. He's got a guaranteed 2-hit KO against Camerupt. He's got a guaranteed 2-hit KO here. However, this is a 3-hit KO against Camerupt. Now, you want to try and avoid 2-hit KOs if possible, so you might want to build your defensive spread out a bit further. So you can see here the Farigiraf is going to guaranteed 1-hit KO from Kowtow Cleave. So we might go and then add some defense to this Pokemon if we're just looking to survive, and then we might add some HP to this Pokemon if we're just looking to survive. And now you can see that it's changed to a guaranteed 2-hit KO, so we are not going to get 1-hit KO by Kingambit anymore. And you can go and adjust these to calculate for the best type of situations. You can also do type matchups, so this is the same as the Marriland team builder. However, I still use Marriland just because it's easier for me to utilize. However, Pikalytics is sort of trying to take everything and put them all into one place, which is pretty cool. Same with the Move IQ. You can see like how much coverage you're getting by adding a specific move into your team. And then same with speed, you can see you're going to get outspeed by everything, right? So yeah, definitely recommend using Pikalytics when you're building your teams or when you're ideating and you want to come up with new ideas for team options. Now for the first tip, I just want to share another extra tool with you guys, which is the Pokemon Champions damage calculator. There's two variants of this. There is the Pikalytics version and then there is the Pokemon Showdown version. Both of them do a great job. However, I was already on Pikalytics, so I'm just staying on here. Let's say, for example, we want to play a Mega Camerupt. We can choose just a Pikalytics set or a blank set, and then we can see against Incineroar, how do we match up against this Pokemon? Okay, so our Earth Power is pretty much guaranteed to 1-hit KO the Pikalytics Incineroar. We know that we will always 1-hit KO. We know that we will take 46% damage from a Throat Chop, right? It'll deal 46% of our HP with this spread, which the Pikalytics spread here is pretty garbage because it has actually it's gone and maxed out the speed. So you got to make sure that you're checking that out before. Same here, it's maxed the speed of this Incineroar as well, so make sure that you are checking your spreads when using this. But this will allow you to identify, okay, do I survive a hit from this Pokemon? Do I survive a hit from this Pokemon? Really, really beneficial. Will save you heaps of time wondering. Okay, will save you heaps of time in wondering. And my final tip for you guys who are looking to build a Pokemon team for yourself is get out there and watch some of these other content creators. pokemonvgc is one of the best. He is known as the GOAT for a reason, and he's got a video on his channel that he released with Pokemon Champions coming out that teaches you all about competitive Pokemon, keeps it really simple, really basic. He has great animations, great design. I will link this video in the description so you can go and watch this video if you actually want to learn the fundamental details of competitive Pokemon. And then for team builds, if you're looking for meta teams or off meta teams, I also recommend Cybertron VGC, aka Aaron Zing. He will show you some of the best teams in the format. He will show you how to pilot them. He will show you where they worked, where they didn't. He's a caster and a great content creator, so if you are watching someone like him, you will develop your skill set even further when it comes to actually building teams and understanding what goes into making a good team and what doesn't. There are tons of creators out there, James Bay and the rest of them, Scraw VGC. There's so many good creators out there that you can go and watch, and a lot of them have videos that will make your life so much easier if you go and watch them. It saved me a bunch of time watching these guys, and I recommend it to every single one of you guys to go and watch these guys and learn how to play Pokemon from the greatest. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you like this kind of video, please consider subscribing and let me know in the comment section below what you would like to see next. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace out, guys.